I am welcoming, and not only am I welcoming John or Johnny, would you prefer?
Oh, look, either or. It really doesn't matter. I think my official real name is Jonathan, but no one's ever called me that. So it's always been John, Johnny, or Jono. I respond to all of them equally. It's all good.
So I'll just ask my authentic self to come up with what aligns most for me then.
Sure, absolutely. Go with your heart.
Beautiful. So, beautiful brothers, sisters, and soul family. This is an unique opportunity to see the DAC process. It's a process that has been gifted to me through a structure of consciousness using universal law, understanding the different layers and the dimensions of our consciousness, the subconscious, the superconscious, understanding our heart and our mind coherence, and how we can start to awaken our being to infinite and ineffable intelligence by layering away the separation points or the unconscious patterns of behavior created from trauma, conditioning, and different karmic footprints. And this structure is a structure that can be used to transform by releasing different identities that we have. We can use it to alchemize and bring more harmonious connection in relationship. We can use it with our business when there is blocks in our business. And it can basically be placed into any form of reality where there is a problem, where there is something that's not working in a space of ease and grace, because everything in our reality is built on consciousness. So we have energy signatures, and each energy signature has a story. And we are the story of our sum of experiences. And so the story that we've created about ourselves is what drives our life experience. And sometimes we don't even know the stories that we've created about ourselves. And so when this framework came through for me as a totality, so it's a total modality that works in the form of what would be considered dissension. So, dissension consciousness is descending into your shadow, descending into the unconscious or the repressed or suppressed aspects of of the being, of your mind, of your somatics, of your spirit. So it can be used in so many different layers, from a really beginner in personal development to someone who's super advanced in their level of wanting to unlock multidimensional gifts. And that is by using the dissension of going into the shadow. So there's always a core wound that sits at the bottom of a problem, and we often circle around in our life experience and our reality up doing this human thing where we attract this person, different face, different place, and then we go over here and then we repeat the same pattern of behavior, and we might unlock a little bit more awareness here, and we might unlock a little bit more awareness here, and we might go, oh, okay, I'm repeating this, I'm attracting my mother, and then we do it again and we're like, oh, and this part, I didn't see this part about myself, and then I learn that I need some boundaries, and then maybe I learn that I need to start to validate myself in love, or whatever it is that we're experiencing in our human reality, where we're really fumbling through consciousness to find and seek ourselves. And that's what most beings are seeking, is they're seeking self-realization, they're seeking their inner expression and sovereignty. And so by using a framework, there's specific questions that can be asked. There's specific navigation through this dark descended aspect that we don't even know how to communicate with, that we can unlock and start to see why patterns of experience are playing out, so that we can choose to create our life with the intention that we want, rather than from the unconscious aspects of what drives our personality. And so in this dissension, we basically, we see it is the DAC is like a circle. So the circle is every narrative we've ever created. It holds the beliefs, the values, the stories, the trauma. All of that is in this circle of what I've decided this means. So the problem might be abandonment or unworthiness, or it might be that I have a challenge with my relationship of not being heard. And so we can start to see it as a circle. And we start at the top of the circle. And anyone can do this. Anyone who can breathe can do this. So as long as you have life in your body and your being, you can do this process. So we start at the top literally with breath by creating a mind-heart coherence. So mind-heart coherence is where our consciousness comes from, where most people are living out of body. They're living in their mind. They've got a lot of chatter, all of this thought. We're bringing the mind to connect to the heart. And so there is a state of coherence that happens where you start to see awareness and feel your vessel or your body at the same time as you're hearing your thoughts. And so your thoughts shift in the way that they're experiencing, and awareness opens. So that's the first step, is we go into a place of coherence. And then there is different structures as we work down into the descension. So we get to the bottom of the circle, and we'll go through this step by step with you. And this is beautiful because Jonnie, there we go. I'm going to call you Jonnie. Oh,
Beautiful.
that feels really cute. So this is this is my first meeting with Jonnie. I have never worked with him. I do have some soul remembrance with him, but I don't think you're aware of that yet. No?
Look, probably not. There was certainly, yeah, something that drew me to you. Absolutely. I was very grateful to a lovely friend of mine who introduced me to you a week ago by giving me some of your YouTube stuff. And I've felt very drawn to you ever since. But yeah, our first meeting, sure.
Yeah. So first time in this
In
life.
this lifetime. Yeah,
So that's exciting. And
it
so
is.
so Jonnie doesn't know anything about the DAC process. He's putting himself on the line, completely vulnerable, doesn't know what he's going into. This is the first time he's hearing this as well. So it's completely unknown, which is done very intentionally so that we can show you and provide a very authentic experience and explanation. So when we get to the bottom of the core, what happens is when you get to the core of a shadow aspect, your somatics and your energy field starts to vibrate at a different frequency, because with the witness of the mind looking into the somatic storing of whatever that expression of consciousness is, it unlocks. And so without needing to do anything, just by observing, your cellular structure starts to change its vibrational resonance. Now, if the mind-heart coherence stays in place and the breath is there, what takes place is alchemy of consciousness. So that transformation takes place, and you'll start to feel, and I'll get you to share how you're feeling and what you're shifting, and we'll communicate to and fro in this. And when you get to the bottom of something, you know that you're at the bottom, because you can look around and you're like, I actually can't see or find anything else that is here. However, this is how most people are moving through shadow work. They're doing that. They're getting to some kind of core. They're getting to some kind of bottom, often missing some tricky bits that get hidden. But there feels like a space that opens up. And there is. So space does open up when you get to the core of something. And you would have had heaps of these moments, where you go, oh, aha, right? And you get to the core and you like feel a space opening in your body. You feel your consciousness expand. And because that block literally dissolves in front of your eyes because you've witnessed it. Then the challenge, though, with the majority of spirituality and what is taking place as to why we keep repeating these patterns, is we're either missing these tiny little bits that we might be right to here, and we've got this tiny little bit of information that's just been missed. And how the brain is designed is the brain will look for the problem until it's solved. It'll look for the problem, it'll look for the problem, and it will repeat it. So that's why we keep repeating these patterns, even if it's this tiny thread that has been unresolved. And so it will keep showing up. Now, in this process, we make sure that we have come to the full awareness of everything there. And then we start to bring back what was lost. So when we create a belief system, we actually create a narrative in our mind or an energetic resonance. So when we create an idea or a framework or an identity, we also conclude that all of these other things are not possible. So we become a being that lives in a no choice universe, because whilst this exists, this can't exist. So
Mm.
yeah, and it means that our ideas and what we want to create moving forward and all of these other options just are not within the conscious awareness. They're not possible. We can't embody them. And so a lot of people are doing this shadow work, but they're not bringing back what was lost. They're not bringing back the frequency, the possibility, the love, whatever that is. And so this higher expression of alchemy doesn't take place. And so even though they've gotten to the shadow and they've worked on the negative side of things, they'll keep repeating the same mistake and seeing it in a contrast or in a trauma loop, because they're still trying to reclaim the missing part. So the missing part is the gift. The missing part is the aspect of self that was given away, taken away, or stolen. And that returning is then what we would consider the ascension. So DAC is descension, ascension, and then completion. And so when you ascend through these different layers, you come up to the completion of a narrative, because you've looked at it from all angles. You've looked at it from the dark, you've looked at it from the light, you've looked at it from what we would consider right, wrong, masculine, feminine, and we create a whole awareness around what that was and what that created. And so the completion aspect then allows for that entire identity, that entire pattern to actually collapse and be deconstructed from the experience forever. So you can say that healing actually does finish. There is an aspect of we do become self realized. We don't have to live from trauma. We don't have to live from pain and suffering, and we can come into pure creation. And that's one of the beautiful gifts of this, is that this teaches each and every person how to become their own healer. Because it's not, although I'll help you facilitate today to demonstrate because you've never done
Thank
it
you.
before,
Yeah, yeah.
this framework can be taken home through the mastermind, and you have it and you learn it, and then you don't need a healer. You don't need to book a session. You don't need to go outside of yourself. You start to learn to master the inner reality, which is also your outer reality, so that you can create the reality that you really feel is true to your soul. So I'm going to leave that sort of explanation there. I would love to hear what you're feeling about that.
Yeah, so it's very interesting that we look to an outward source for a healing most of the time. So go right back to, I don't know, conventional living, and we go to a doctor in order to, I don't know, get some medication in order to be able to heal us. We often look to our family and friends as well to go, what's going on? Give me a solution for this. I'm so caught up in the problem that I can't see that. And then, of course, we get an aspect of us that we continue to go outward in order to be able to find a solution to our problems. And I'm very fortunate that I've been looking into this for a little while, and I've been introduced to some really amazing people. But a lot of them, as well as healers, yeah, are relying on it. Like that's their income, that's their livelihood, that's what they want to be able to do. So it feels really great to come across this as something that we can do ourselves, and that we don't need to look to an outward source. A few times now, I've come to the conclusion I've got all the tools, I've got all the answers. I just need to know where to find them, and that means calming myself down, um, not focusing on the problem, and going, what are the tools that I need in order to be able to do that? So I'm really looking forward to this process, and how discovered this or how it's been gifted to you in order for you to share it with us. Yeah.
Exciting. Beautiful.
Mm.
Exactly that. We have all of the tools, and each and every being, no matter how advanced in consciousness, has the capacity to find uh, that connection point within. But we're not taught. We're actually conditioned away from it. And so this is
Mhm.
reconnecting and just finding those pathways within your neurology and how your body works that you are designed to use, and then there's a massive amount of empowerment that comes through with that, of recognizing that I really am the creator of my experience, and I always know what to do. So when I work with people, if they if their answer is I don't know, I'm like, yes, you do. I'm like, you can never say I don't know to me, because you do know. Everyone knows. And it's just guiding that person into their knowing to find that information. And it's okay that we are in a place of completely not knowing who we are and completely confused, and not knowing which uh, spiritual modality or which personal development program, or because we're in a world of confusion, and most of the individuals that are, and they're doing great work, but they're only doing what they have the capacity for. They only can work with the frameworks that they already have. And so it just creates, we're all fumbling through this and navigating it together, and we really are walking hand in hand. And then to be able to share something that can create a more open possibility for others to access their own medicine and their own unique processes. That's what excites me. So I'm excited to see how this unfolds for you. Um, I would love to know, do you have much information awareness? Have you done much shadow work?
No, I don't believe that I have. Um, I've watched a couple of your YouTube clips over the past couple of days, and I don't believe that I have. I'm certainly aware of the dark side of me, the part that I'm keeping in the shadows in order to, I don't know, not have to deal with it. But no, I haven't done much shadow work at all.
Beautiful. Beautiful. And just for the awareness of this practice, because it is much easier if someone has a level of ability with meditation. Have you done much meditation or breath work?
Absolutely, yeah. It's part of my daily habits to do a meditation in the morning. A lot of the time that is guided, and I'll choose different frequencies, etc., to be able to play while I'm doing it because of something that I'm feeling in my body that might be something to do with one of the chakras or meridian lines or whatever, and they align with different frequencies and colors. So, meditation is certainly something that is a daily habit. Breath work, probably not daily, but at least 3 or 4 times a week, I'll do some breath work, but I'm very much aware of my breath. And when I feel apprehensive, I'll often hold my breath. And sometimes that even happens during a meditation because of something that comes up, and I'll just become aware of that. But yeah, it's very much the force of life. So yeah, very aware. That we'll leave it there.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Um, that is perfect. Wonderful. It just makes the navigational process a little quicker. Anyone else can do it if they. So the practice of being already skilled in some level of meditation and listening to cues and going into different frequencies allows for the access of the information to come forth a little quicker. Otherwise, the only difference would be is there will be pauses. So if there is pauses, it's because the information is kind of hiding, or that happens quite often. Our brain has been designed to protect ourselves. Our ego does not want to be caught out in all of its protection mechanisms and how it's effectively kept us alive in this reality and safe. And so, in that awareness, it is important that the shadow is not, there's no wrongness in the shadow. The shadow is created from the separation or the ego, or from different aspects of self-protection. So the shadow is a protection program. And without it, there is no way that any of the individual beings that would be on this current earth would be alive, because we would be full of too much trauma and too much pain. And so it has its role until it no longer has its role. And eventually, hopefully, as we move into higher states of consciousness on the earth, there will be less and less of that ego consciousness that's created, because we will live in a more harmonious, safe, and peaceful experience. So with this, because this is your first time, and
Yeah.
because we are unsure where we could go, there is an awareness that I would like to keep it less traumatizing on you,
Thank
but
you.
still extremely powerful in the unlocking. And so, what I feel would be a really great theme would be for us to start with thinking about what in your life really frustrates you. What is there? Oh, that wasn't hard.
No, not at all. Um, what really frustrates me is the fact that I would love to be on the other end of this conversation, and would love to be coaching others. And I've felt the call to that for a number of years, but I've really failed to take action on that until very recently. And then, as I'm sure you can appreciate, the more work you do, the more you realize there's more work to be done. So it's, yeah, but so then again, the failure to take action and to move forward and to do things becomes even more frustrating, I think, as I go along. So fortunately, recently my circumstances have changed, and I don't have that. I don't have any other little hills in my life that are slowing me down, and I'm able to move forward. And I've moved forward rapidly in the last couple of months, and I'm really excited for it. But it also becomes overwhelming. So at times as well, which is why the video on the Light Warrior really sung out to me, was that I feel the calling um, to do that type of work. But as I say, the more you do, the more you realize needs to be done. So the overwhelm sets in, and then you go, "Oh, it's safer it's safer to play here. It's safer just to take a backward step and not put myself out there." And then a period of time goes by, and then you get frustrated again, going, "But this is what you're calling to do. Why aren't you doing it?" And then you do it, and you move forward rapidly, and you get overwhelmed again, and you go, "Oh, safer to play back here." So that's been frustrating me now for, I'm gonna say, a few years, since that awareness has come into my space, that I'm here for more than just what I do secularly. I'm here to do more than just be a father. I'm here more to be a partner. I'm here to be of service to many. So yeah,
Beautiful,
that's what brought us together.
beautiful. So there's this, uh, just to clarify, there's this knowing and this desire to be of service and contribution and to live your purpose and mission, whatever that be,
Yep.
and that you run with that knowing and that inspiration and that remembrance, and then it's like, oh, this is too much, I can't do this, and then there's a retraction and a pullback. So the pattern of behavior is uh, all in, and then a pause, or do you feel like you pull all the way out? How do you experience that?
Yeah. So there's definitely, um, I would say it's a pause, because the knowing is there. that doesn't go away. So it is just a pause and a check yourself. And it might even be other people that are contributing to that, going, what are you doing going in that direction? Um, like I know that you're a good speaker, or I know that you can do this, but can you make a living from that? You need to have, here in Australia, superannuation, and you need to pay your taxes, and you need to do this and insurances and whatever. So the knowing doesn't go away. Um, but it's more okay, I can't make a living from that right this minute. So you pause on it, continue your knowledge perhaps, but you're not actually taking action. And um, you can't be a warrior and not take action. When your time is called to take action, you can't be pausing on that. It's time to take action. So um, yeah, it becomes somewhat frustrating. But the way you summed it up was just beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful. And when I would love to know how you experience others when you're in these moments of maybe acceleration and some judgments or different stories. What is your inner like? What do you experience internally? What is your thought forms? How does that affect your emotions?
Yeah. So when I'm actually in that acceleration phase, my heart feels like it's double the size. I'm feeling joy. I'm feeling beauty. I'm feeling love. And you're also receiving that from the external as well. So um, yeah, my emotions are heightened. I'm very much an empath when it comes to helping others. And I would say, yeah, obviously the polarizing opposite of that when I'm not, when I'm going about my secular life, I'm very much on cruise control and everything is dulled. I don't really have to think, and I certainly don't need to feel. And everything's really quite monotone. It's just I'm not living life the way in an optimal way.
Yeah, beautiful. Um, all right, amazing. Is there anything else that in relation to that pattern, that story that feels relevant to share as to um, anything that might unfold, just to bring greater awareness to how it's a contribution or not a contribution to your life experience?
Oh, look, it's more that it's great in the last couple of years to become aware of that. So I grew up in a very religious house. I was um, preordained to become an elder or a priest in that particular organization. And for 35 years, I absolutely lived that. There was a part of me that always questioned things, and that was a struggle. But because I was so well encapsulated into that particular religion from birth, um, I was never really allowed to question it very much. So I was given this beautiful assignment of speaking in front of about 700 or 800 people uh, 10 years ago. I'm 46 now, so I was 35 at the time, and something about it just started to make me question what it was. And the assignment was actually that from the Bible, there are only two rules that we still follow. Everything else is a guideline, very good guidelines, a lot of them, but there were only two rules, and that was to keep doing this in remembrance of me. Most people see that as the Last Supper, as involved with Easter, and the other one was abstain from blood. Everything else was a guideline, because even though you must not murder, there were even, and that's a really good guideline, but there were exceptions to that. Like if you were being attacked, if you were protecting someone vulnerable, etc. even stealing. If you're really hungry and your family is going to die, there are exceptions made for that throughout the Bible, etc. And then they asked me to shave my beard in order to be able to do this speech. And I went, no. Why would I do that? And they said, oh, we're worried you might offend people. And I said, how could I offend anybody by having a beard? Oh, and they said, oh, there's people coming from overseas and they may not be used to, a beard. And I went, okay, that sounds ridiculous. And do you realize the irony of the fact that you're telling me that there are only two rules and you've asked me to give this speech or talk on the subject, but are now insisting on me shaving the beard? And this went on for some time. We got to the dress rehearsal for this a week or so out, and one of the big wigs said, hey, why have you still got your beard? How is that a thing? And I went, well, because I don't need to shave it. And I showed them their Bible story book and showed them a picture of Jesus, the apostles, Abraham, Noah, everybody in that book, of course, had a beard. And I went, how is it possible that my beard would possibly be offensive, but all others are not? That seems crazy. And they said, look, we really want you to check your heart condition right now because you're coming across as being somewhat rebellious. And I said, do you not understand the irony again of the fact that you told me there are only two rules? There are many other guidelines that are good practice, but now you're insisting or trying to pull into law the fact that I should shave my beard. And this made me start questioning almost all of my beliefs. And I came across a really beautiful NLP practitioner back then. And this was in reference to what you mentioned earlier. You always know the answers. It's just whether or not you're vulnerable enough to be able to use them or are brave enough to vocalize them. And it came across at the time because I was very much in my ego as condescending. But her question to me was, if you did know, what would the answer be? And I thought, don't play with me, you know. Um, I'll give you the answer if I know the answer, but don't condescend to me, don't play to me. And because I was there to find answers, I searched really hard. And the answers I found were not particularly what I wanted my consciousness to hear. And it just again caused me to start questioning so much more of the faith that I had taken on board and realized that I actually don't recall making a decision to take this on board. This had just been subjected to me. And say the people in that religious practice are beautiful people, they're loving people, they do some really amazing work. But um, it's also quite shallow in the fact that they only allow one book to be read and a collective narrative on the interpretation of that one book to be their guideline. And there are lots of really good books out there, and there are different interpretations to those books depending on people's life experience, their just general understanding. So um, I think being open-minded enough to be able to look and see the beauty and the love in many different forms of creation. And that's probably a really long answer, so we should probably move on.
I enjoyed your long answer.
Thank
Eh,
you.
and it can the backstory for something like this can be helpful in sometimes the beliefs that come up and the shadow aspect that comes up because it may hold a very key significant aspect to that. And if it's not something that you've shared, we can also unpack it a little bit to make sense of it. Because sometimes, because of how intuitive I am, I know exactly what that means, but the viewers themselves may not understand what you're experiencing internally. So I will um, uh, at different points we'll talk through different things, and but it was a perfect expression of what you've shared in pre-framing, so that we can look at this frustration narrative,
Yeah,
and break free from that. Are you down for that?
absolutely I am. Yeah, that would be life-changing for me. So I'm very much ready to yeah, to attack that frustration.
Beautiful, beautiful. All right, so I don't have a pen and paper in front of me, but I'm going to use my phone to write down some of these pieces so that we can unpack it at the end, just to do a breakdown. But if you also have a pen and paper in front of you, you might also want to scribble it down on your end. If you don't,
I
that's
do.
fine.
No, no, I'm prepared. I'm good.
Wonderful. Do you have water?
I'm gonna actually, I've just finished it, so I'm just gonna grab another one.
Yeah,
Give me a
go
sec.
do that. So the importance of hydration when you're working in consciousness is that when we are working with energy, right, we're made up of energy, and our frequency increases. We are conductors. So the water allows for energy to move with more ease and grace through the physical body. So there's less pain. So being hydrated during any work in consciousness helps to move the cellular structure and helps to allow for the energy conduction to take place, and so that you have less resistance to move through. So hydration is important, and in that you also will find that as you're moving through a lot of frequency and you're alchemizing your vibrational states shifting, sometimes you will also need to visit the bathroom multiple times, because what's happening is this natural process of energy circulating and moving through you, and therefore the detoxification of the physical vessel at the same time. Um, so what I'm gonna start you by basically going into the mind heart coherence state. So just allowing yourself to close your eyes down and to bring your mind's attention inward, to roll it back in, and to just locate the center of your heart, the center of your body. And from this point of your heart and feeling that part of your being, asking you to take 3 very intentional breaths. So these breaths are to open, expand, and release all story, all mind, all narrative. Big, strong breaths. And as your body softens into your heart and your mind connects through oxygenating your cells and staying with a nice steady breath to stay in that place of connection. Now, anyone who's witnessing this and feeling this may have sensed and noticed that point where you met this mind heart coherence. There's very subtle energies that move through. Do you feel that you are in a place of what would be considered connection to yourself, or in a state of more relaxation?
Yes, I do.
Beautiful. So all that is required is for you to stay in this place. Now, anytime that you feel that you want to come up into your mind or open your eyes and pull yourself out of your inner reality, we're just going to lovingly guide you back here. So from this place, just starting to bring that story, the story of knowing you're here to be of service, the story of knowing that you've got a desire to make change, to be of contribution, that your purpose is important, that that you want to accelerate in that and drive that forward to be the warrior. And then feeling also the pattern that has been created of expanding out and moving forward, and then stopping and taking a pause. And allowing for that to come up, seeing it, feeling it, visualizing it, just imagining that you're in that pattern of behavior. Now, as you're in that, I'm going to ask you to scan through your body to feel where is the tightest or the most tense point on your body as you think about this story.
Really in the base chakra. So yeah, around my bottom and lower back.
Beautiful. Staying with that point, and you're going to bring your awareness. So just really feeling that base, the part of your bottom, your lower back, and allowing for the feeling to surface a little more just by bringing your conscious awareness to it, staying with your breath. And from that part of your lower back, your bottom, and you ask, what feeling or emotion feels like it sits there?
Contentedness.
Contentedness, did you say?
I did, yeah. It's just that base level of existing, that cruise control that I spoke of earlier.
Beautiful. Amazing. So there's this content. It's safe. It's easy.
Correct. Yeah.
Beautiful. So in that contentedness, just by witnessing it, I'd like you to take a deep breath, and you can either visualize breathing out the contentedness from that point, or placing a color that your mind's eye might want to place into it. Good job. And just feeling that energy move slightly by witnessing it and intentionally moving out. We're going to release and let it go just with the breath. Now we're going to ask that part of your body, when there's a little bit more space there, what's under the feeling of contentedness? What other emotion sits there?
Incongruence. So it feels as though it's fighting with my heart, because my heart knows that I'm capable of more and doing more, but I'm staying where it's safe and where it's acceptable by other people's standards.
There's a feeling of incongruence. Allowing that incongruence in the same way, breathing it out by witnessing that story, feeling the energy in that lower back, very simply, very easily breathing through that. Now, whilst you feel this incongruence, what is the belief that you have made up about yourself that sits in that part of your body?
That I'm not good enough, capable enough, or have the credentials enough to break free of that.
Beautiful. So just feeling how that feels in your body. Feel how your heart feels when you feel, I'm not good enough. I don't know enough. I don't have enough credentials. And that entire narrative of how that affects. So I can feel how it affects, but I would love you to express how your heart and your body feels when you have that narrative in your body. How does your posture, how do you represent yourself in the world?
Again, I'll come back to the incongruence or inauthenticity, that when I'm living that and I believe that in my body, things do not go well for me. I attract more of that. I attract more that solidifies or galvanizes that. And it just becomes really uncomfortable. But my life is really not enjoyable, even though my bank balance might go up and I might get, a smile from a special somebody and a hug. It just doesn't feel right.
Yeah. So really feel that. Where do you feel that in your body right now?
It's really in that solar plexus, right in the core, in the diaphragm. Um, yeah, it's pretty deep.
Beautiful. So allowing the recognition that we've moved and we will move to different pain points on your body. So we're going to breathe into that part of the solar plexus that just expressed how I feel about myself while I hold this, how I show up, how I see life. Nice big breath into that sacral chakra, really allowing the body to move it. Now, what is the emotion that you have towards yourself when you are in this story of incongruency?
Look, it's just sadness, but also acceptance of this is what society tells me is true or correct and what I should be doing. Um, so yeah, it's an accepting of that, but then an absolute fight with my heart because my heart knows that not to be true.
Yeah, beautiful. So there's this acceptance, but is it really acceptance or is it a justification?
Mm.
So allowing yourself to feel that heart tug of war that you just spoke into, feeling your heart now, and that sadness, and where you have accepted or justified something just because this is life, this is what I'm told, this is who I've been conditioned to believe I am, what is normal, what is acceptable in this experience. And really placing your hands on that part of your body. You might have two expressions. Yeah, beautiful. And I want you to give that sadness the attention that it really deserves. Really allowing the vulnerability. And if that sadness could talk, what would it say?
It would say, I've had enough. Let me go.
Big breath into the heart. Now, under that feeling of the sadness, the justified, what we could call self-abandonment or loss of self and that pain that sits there. Is there anything that's more painful that you can feel in your body at this point?
No.
Is there, do you feel that the belief and the awareness around let me go is the deepest point of suffering here in regards to this?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah, witnessing the vulnerability of that, allowing that. And now, in this part of your heart, we've gotten to that core depth of the belief, the narrative, the story, and how that hurts. And now I'm going to ask you, what is your attachment to keeping this in place? How does it serve you?
So it has served me in a secular style. Um, kept me employed, kept money, all these other belief systems that all these other narratives in place, so that when other people look on, I look to be, I don't know, that I fit into the brackets of what is normal. Um, but it doesn't serve me anymore. It really doesn't. It's held me back for some time. So um, yeah.
Beautiful. So the out of that sharing of the attachment, and you're aware from the cognitive mind, you're completely aware it doesn't serve you. But from the somatic and from the inner shadow, out of what you just shared, the part that felt, what did felt the most stronghold? What was the bit that you felt within you that was the biggest tug?
I'm not sure I understand the question.
I'm trying
Um,
not to lead you because I know the answer. Um, uh, mm, if you could answer out of everything you just said, in an attachment being a belief, it keeps me, or I am.
so it has kept me in in a place that secularly I can be accepted.
Yeah. So the attachment to being accepted. Beautiful. So just breathing into where that is felt in your body and breathing that out through the breath. So we're going to stay with the breath until you alchemize this a little bit more. Beautiful. Now, do you feel that there is any other attachment that may hold this in place that you're unaware of?
No, I can't feel any other attachments.
Beautiful. So we've now moved through the belief, the attachment, and now we're going to look at what binds us. So this is the piece that often gets missed in shadow work, is what would be considered as the point in time where this was created. We don't need to go back to the memory of where this originated from, because you're looking at the narrative instead, and that's why you're talking directly to the consciousness right now. And but there is a point of when a trauma or when something happens, when we've decided something, we make either a contract, an oath, a vow, an agreement, or a promise that tends to keep us bound by our belief systems that we don't always necessarily witness in our thought forms. So I'm going to only work with the word contract to make it easier. This would be a more advanced, using different layers, different energy signatures, but we're going to ask your consciousness to just work with the word contract and asking where that part of your body is still feeling a lot of energy. What contract did I make that would prevent me from releasing this story? So a contract being a decision that I would be something or I would not be something, or I would do something or I would not do something to create a specific experience or expression.
Yeah, so this was probably just again, it's quite Bible based because of my upbringing. That I don't recall the scripture right now, but it essentially says, "Fear God and give Him glory." The fear is not something of being afraid that He may do or not do something, but more just a respect. Have a respect for God, and I remember having a thought process around that in regard to my family, of having a fear for them or a respect for them that I didn't want to disappoint.
Beautiful. Perfect. So going into where that sits in your somatic, in your consciousness, you can use your hands if it helps to find that, or just bringing your awareness to where that contract of that statement, that expression of God has created exactly what you shared, a big expression of fearing and preventing the acceleration forward in case it's not that. And what you're going to do with your word, because the word is the power, and you know this from the Bible, is you're going to make a statement that you release all of the beliefs and the attachments and this contract that you made out of a place of not knowing what you were committing to. However you want to express that, however that wants to verbally be expressed out, that you are no longer binding yourself or holding yourself back, that you choose to let go, release, surrender, whatever your internal words are that would gift this holding out of your body through verbal expression.
I released this contract that I made at a time in my life that I was not mature enough to know what I was committing to. I released this contract now knowing better, with more maturity, more life experience, and a knowing that this is not the case. I release this contract knowing that by releasing it, I will not cause disappointment, that I will still continue on my path to be the best man that I can be. And this is no longer binding. I release you.
Beautiful. Now, really breathing into feeling the energy of those words that you just spoke out. Really witnessing what you spoke and what opens up for you. Now, I would love to hear as when you feel like you've released and brought in that space, how are you feeling in your body around what we've uncovered thus far?
So there is a beautiful joy about not knowing and simply allowing things to happen. I have felt the discomfort rise from my lower body through to my mid body and now up through my chest and out my shoulders. It's a really beautiful feeling that I can now be free of that. So Yeah, I actually feel that. I think I'm wiggling a bit in my chair now, but I actually feel, yeah, quite free. It's a really good feeling.
Beautiful. Do you feel that there is anywhere, if you go back into that, in awareness of the shadow, something that might be still hidden in the dark that we need to see, or do you feel free from that bind?
No, look, there's still a little bit there from the point of view that um, I cleared family, as in those who caused me to be on this earth. I cleared the religious aspect of it, but there's still a little bit there that, um, yeah, a previous partner didn't particularly enjoy that level of freedom. So probably would be good to go back and clear that up. Yeah. For some reason, she keeps popping into my thoughts. Um, it's only momentary. Um, but yeah, mum and dad and other religious leaders have popped in, and I've now cleared that. But yeah, she keeps reappearing. So
Okay. Where do you feel her in your body when she pops in?
in my chest, I was, and in some cases or some aspects of thought, still very much in love with her. She's an amazing lady. Um, so yeah, I still feel her very much here in my head of hearts. So yeah, the left side of my chest.
And if you felt that left side of your chest and you asked for the mm, mm, if you asked it to speak, just that consciousness where that is, what does it feel? What voice never got expressed to her?
That's a great question. Um, So the words may have been said, but as you just asked in your question, it was the expression. I didn't get the expression across to her that these things that she sees as important are just not important to me. They're not binding to me. I don't feel them to be important. I understand that that gives you safety and security by having that, but I want you to know that I'm only doing those things because they're important to you. They're not important to me.
Mm. Just breathing into that and recognizing that there was an aspect of self sacrifice to please in the, we can connect this back to that contract that you made. What was your fear if you didn't sacrifice yourself to please her and to meet her importance?
That she would interpret that as a lack of safety or security or long term relationship. I feel as though that's what it meant to her, that if it was important to her, then I would do that, and that would bring about safety, security, and long termness.
And that would result in what for you?
Well, ultimately, it actually resulted in sadness for me because I wasn't authentic. I wasn't congruent. I wasn't living life with my belief systems. I was living according to hers, and hers were given to her by society, upbringing, lifestyle, etc. So it actually led me to become quite sad and incongruent in my life.
Just really witnessing that trap story around the sacrifice to keep love, but losing the love and creating the sadness.
And just at the time being really unaware that that's what I was doing. Um, yeah, that I was exchanging my joy for hers. It was absolutely a trap. And I enjoyed a lot of aspects of it. As I say, she was a really beautiful woman, and I enjoyed, years of life and growth with her. It was beautiful, but didn't realize the sacrifice and the trap that I had created for myself.
Yeah. The thing that you said the most strong there, from what I'm hearing, is I exchanged mine for hers. So feel that part of your body, and you're now going to exchange back by breathing and letting that go. Exchanging your life, hers, and whatever energy, consciousness in between both spaces. Beautiful. Just having love and gratitude for yourself and for her and what role she played at setting yourself and setting her free. Beautiful. Do you feel a sense of relinquishing of that cord or that attachment?
I certainly do. Yeah, that word that you used, exchange. I know that I used it too, but hearing it echo back really made that feel real. So thank you.
You're welcome. So we've now met this point of dissension. We've gotten halfway around the circle. There's a sense of freedom and opening. Now what we're going to do is bring our focus on reclaiming, returning, expanding through this. And so by changing your focus of thought, your focus of mind in your body, feeling the part of your body that might feel like it wants to open or expand, or it feels like there might be a niggle, letting your body guide you. And when you find that, we'll use the simplistic terminology of what do you feel needs reclaiming in that aspect of your being.
So I feel it in my traps, sort of upper back, neck type area. Um, what needs to be reclaimed is just just being my authentic self. Um, yeah, really finding that genuine, authentic, congruent self. That's what needs to be reclaimed.
Okay. So in that part of your back, bringing that awareness of what it would feel like in your spine, in your posture, in your being, to breathe in your authenticity, to breathe in integrity, to breathe in that congruency. And as you're breathing it, you can either envision energy coming in or you can feel it opening, whatever your mind is showing you. whether it's color that pops in or if it's just the feeling of returning that. Allowing it. Now, do you feel a sense of a shift in your vessel, in your consciousness as you did that?
Yeah, so I just feel a lot stronger. My posture is, it was quite slouched to begin this conversation. And now I just feel strong and upright, aligned would be a great way of summarizing.
Beautiful. Now, I'm going to ask your mind heart coherence to ask for what part of your body might be aware of somewhere or something that might like to activate. So you've reclaimed this authentic self and that integrity and congruency, but what has possibly gone dormant within your consciousness, not active within your being? And so we're going to use the word activation and feel into where your body feels that word.
Yeah, so again, I'm going back to that lower chakra and being really true to my masculinity. I think that has become, yeah, paused or dormant was your word, in the last little while. And again, I've really kind of pushed that aside in order to be able to take on knowledge in my mind and heart, but I've sacrificed and allowed to become dormant. Yeah, my true masculine self.
Beautiful. So focusing on that part of your body, bringing your awareness there, and you're going to use a verbal cue very similar to the way you did when you released a contract, but instead you're going to claim or speak out the intention to activate and bring back online in whatever words are your terminology of bringing that masculine through a statement of intention of the word.
I am and will continue to grow as a man here in this plane. In turn, I will help other men to become good men and to become good at being men. The masculine polarity here on this earth is required for growth and for movement from the feminine and from families from the tribe. So in order to be able to help men with this, I need to be good at being a man. I need to be aware of my feminine, but very much growing into my masculine to become that light warrior that my heart knows to be true and I wish to become true. I will grow.
I will grow. Beautiful. So breathe that in. And I'm also going to just gently guide you to say, I am masculine into that point.
I am masculine.
And if you felt resistance, you can say it again.
I didn't feel any resistance, but I felt the need to say it again just because numbers have power, and 3 times for emphasis. So I am masculine, I am masculine, I am masculine.
Beautiful. Now, is there any other I am statements out of what you shared that your root chakra would like to say out aloud?
Everybody needs leadership. And so I feel like a pack leader, a wolf pack leader from time to time. And I am here to lead myself, and I'm here to lead other men that feel the calling into that, and will continue to be the pack leader whilst ever required to do so.
Beautiful. I am a pack leader. I am a leader. And
Mm.
I lead others. Awesome. Now, just feeling into your entire expression and your being, and gonna ask if there's any other awareness that you feel is to be brought forth.
I have no idea why this just came up, so I'm just going to go with the feeling. But there feels as though there is also a blockage there in regard to shame around sexuality and attractiveness, etc. So, don't know where that came from.
So, this is perfect that this is unfolded, because what happens when we start working in the consciousness is we're full of stories, right? We have so many, and we can journey through. And what happens when we start to complete one cycle, the next one starts to activate. And so they lead on to each other, right? This is how we start to go, and we know what we're focusing on, and then we can start to unravel what is there. Um, so I would ask your inner, your all knowing being, your authentic self, your mind heart coherence, is that story around attractiveness, sexuality, is that a part of this current narrative, or is it something that's ready and being brought to the awareness for what's starting to surface for you to journey?
Well, I think definitely the latter. As I say, I'm not really sure where it came from. Actually,
Yeah.
no, I do know. My religious upbringing just meant that this stuff was never discussed, never spoken about, and was to be kept in the bedroom and private, etc., etc. So I do know where it came from. It's definitely not mine. And going forward, I feel as though it's something that needs to be brought out into the public and spoken about and discussed, because the world's changing, and we've got a lot of misguided young men out there in this space. So yeah.
Beautiful. Beautiful. So we'll ask you to ask from that place of how is, although it is a separate narrative or a separate pattern, we could say, what is its connection as to why it popped in when I asked that question? How does it meet this part of your service or your purpose?
As I said, there's a lot of confused young men out there. I can't speak of young women because I just don't have that connection, but possibly that is also the case. That with the proliferation of pornography that we have in today's world, that there's just a lot of confusion over that. And it's just become more and more available to younger sources that are not ready and mature enough to be able to deal with that. I'm not sure if it has a real and authentic space in society, but it's always been desired, to have, I don't know, a nude picture of a girl or whatever. But if we don't openly discuss it and what's acceptable, then unfortunately, we're going to have a lot of just misguided young people that are going to grow up and then become not very good partners and not very good members of society because of having this incorrect view of sexuality and attractiveness and beauty. So, yeah, it's very much in my current thought process, and not exactly sure how to bring that to life just yet, but it will happen.
Beautiful. So, do you feel that after, because we're not quite complete, we've got to go through the completion. We've done the
Yep.
descension, the ascension, and then we've got to complete this. Do you feel a sense of once this completed that you will have a confidence to navigate what that is for you to lead?
Think that I will be able to establish that. Yeah. Um, I've got the skeleton, I've got the base, the foundation of what that looks like. So I think with the ascension process, I think, yeah, we'll be able to get to completion. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Mhm.
All right. So going into the body, the consciousness, and just asking now from your mind heart coherence in that meditative conscious place, what is required to there's a couple of different completions. I'm just feeling into which one to guide you through. uh, so I'm gonna get you to go up into what would be considered an entanglement, or it's a confusion of the brain. So go up into the consciousness of your brain, breathing up into the brain, and we're going to ask for those two beliefs that might create a disconnect from what you know to be true to what you've just journeyed, and a part of the brain that's still confused in a narrative or in thought form. You get a sense of what the brain may have. We could call them clunky. They're like where they become enmeshed. There's this little bit of something that's tweaky that's like, I see this, I feel this, I know this, but I just can't quite marry it because my brain's decided that this exists or this is the way.
Yeah. So that's actually like really easy on that last thing I spoke of around sexuality and attractiveness, etc. That um, certainly looking at a beautiful woman and feeling attractive, or attracted to her or appreciating her beauty, um, is a good thing. I mean, that's how we find our partners first and foremost. Is we see someone that we like or we're attracted to, and it would be the same thing for pornography as well, as going, hey, it looks pretty good. There's naked people doing some really cool stuff on here, but there's an appreciation of beauty and of the feminine that doesn't need to be sexualized. You can still appreciate that you're attracted to, but you don't need to act on. And it's a little bit of a shame that uh, we we often can't say, hey, you're an attractive person, or you look great in that dress, or I love the way you've done your makeup, without coming across as being flirty or in some way doing something that doesn't make that lady feel comfortable. And again, that's part of the fact that we've now interpreted beauty and attractiveness and sexualized it far too much. And I have done it. I have gone into that and just complimenting without intention and just saying, you look fantastic today, and walking away and hopefully leaving that smile on their face. But I realize that not everybody can do it. So, um, but again, it's something I'd love to be able to teach. So, yeah, without the intention and just appreciation, that would be fantastic. What is going on with my computer?
Well, I can hear you, so
Yeah, no, that's okay. Just a couple of things just popped up, and I don't know why, because it should be on sleep mode. But anyway, um,
they're just going
let
back.
me just close it. Yeah.
They're just going back into your brain and where that, that belief of the mind, where the brain goes, I can't. So closing the eyes down, going back and focusing on the brain. The brain's matter, the neural pathways, the thought forms, and where the brain goes, I can't. I can't be attracted to a woman without being sexualized or with a woman, and the distortion that sits there. So the two beliefs, the belief that if I'm attracted to a woman, it must be sexual. And we're going to ask your brain with breath and intention to actually separate those two beliefs and to see or feel, sense the neural pathways changing that belief so that you can see that attraction is not sexual. Sexuality is different from beauty. And just seeing those signatures, yeah, beautiful. Seeing those feelings and those signatures of consciousness create a different energy that moves through your thought forms. Just with the intention and breathing, we're going to breathe 3 breaths into your brain to allow for that to find a new pathway. Perfect. Now, to fully complete this process, what we're going to do is we are going to acknowledge. We are going to acknowledge what you've journeyed in, how it affected you, how it felt, and then all of the aspects of possibility. You're going to see it in a sense of totality and going through all of the beliefs, the attachments, the narratives, everything that you've just explored. The stickiness, the trickiness, the opportunity, the expansion, the lightness, all of this transformation. And in a very simple visualization process, through intention and taking a breath in, you're going to imagine all of that stepping out of your body as you breathe out. So I'm going to get you to breathe it all in. And then you're going to let it step out of your consciousness by exhaling out. And again, gathering it all up and watching it leave. And one more. I work in threes too. Beautiful. And then making a statement that feels true for you of it is done, I am complete, whatever your feeling is to speak out loud.
It is done. It is done. It is done.
Beautiful. Just coming back in your own time. Do you feel complete?
I do. Yeah, I feel amazing. I feel light. So even though I'm sitting down at the moment, I feel the need to almost stand and dance. So yeah, it's a really nice light feeling, and like a great deal of pressure has been, yeah, has been lifted.
Beautiful. Yeah.
Mm.
I appreciate you going through that process, and I really look forward to hearing how as this alchemizes. So when we initially move through something, that lightness will come, and then we want to allow that time for all of it to land, to
Mm.
solidify. Some people would use the word integration. You instantly integrated. So that was what that was with the breath, the movement, the transmutation. That's instant integration. Um, but seeing how that actually changes the way you see, perceive, and be in the world, that's different. That's the becoming the embodiment of what you just moved through. So I would love to hear and then be able to share with anyone who does watch this video in the comments what unfolds for you in the next few days, how you feel
Yeah.
different about what has moved through. Because yeah, it's can other than the awareness, the consciousness, the insight, and what moves through, then there is this opportunity of now what do I create and how do I feel about that moving forward?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll keep you in the loop and let you know how it goes over the next little while. Absolutely.
Amazing. Is there anything that you would like to share in relation to that in closing?
I just want to express my gratitude for giving me this opportunity. Say life has moved rapidly in the last couple of weeks. So to be introduced to you only a week ago through one of your YouTube clips, feeling that that really resonated with me. I'll tell you very quickly that I put it on because the person that sent it to me I really respect and have a great deal of love for. And she sent it to me, and I thought, okay, this is a weird thing. I don't know what a light warrior is, but I'll listen to it. And I was on my way to work to do a job, and I just kept going, wow, okay, that was interesting. Oh, that's resonating. That's great. And I thought, I really need to listen to this, not just have it going in the background, because I was actually driving at this point. Now, I know you shouldn't be listening to or watching YouTube while driving, but up until that point, I just thought this is something I can have in the background. And then I thought, okay, I really need to listen to this. So um, I couldn't. I had a job to do. I had something I needed to do, but I just kept it going. I listened to it 3 or 4 times on repeat, had headphones on, and I completed my task. And I got onto the person that sent it to me and just said, wow, thank you. This is amazing. I then shared it with a group of ladies that I run a women's circle with. And I said, hey guys, what do you think of this? And they all came back to me that went, yeah, awesome. I said, do you think that sums me up? And they went, duh. And I went, okay. Um, and then I had went back to the source, and she goes, well, it's about time. And then I went back to a couple of other ladies that I know and respect, and they went, yeah, it's about time, Jonnie. I don't know why it took you so long. And that was a week ago. That was last Friday. And here we are now having this great conversation and learning this dissension, ascension, and completion. Um, and going through that for me, peel another layer off the onion. It's just been fantastic. So I really appreciate the fact that I've been able to now meet you, not in person as yet, but heck, I've been into your bedroom, so with those beautiful curtains. But yeah, having to meet you and go through that process has just been fantastic, and I just feel so light. So I hope that this does get to many other people, and they get to do this process with you and clear some of that stubborn stuckness, that clutter, that clunk. And I hope it helps many. So yeah, gratitude. Thank you.
Beautiful. I have one final question before I'm going to pause this and
Sure.
move on to allow you to move on to the rest of your day and for me to move on to the rest of my commitments. Um, Although I asked you the questions, if what I had said and that framework was explained in a documentation and there was a structure of the beliefs, the attachments, how to find them, and it was navigated through, do you feel that was an easy process for you to do?
Yes, it was an easy process. I've got to say, though, um, I don't know that I could do it myself. Your guidance, your intuition on that is definitely made it a lot easier. Um, I'm dyslexic, so to read it would be quite challenging for me. And then to actually be able to read something and then go deep into that to find that space would be quite clunky to be able to do. But doing it with you, or potentially, someone else that you've taught the process to, was fairly easy to be able to do. Yeah.
Do you feel like there would be, I know, there's your next process. I'm dyslexic. We're gonna I understand. I've had that story myself, and it definitely affects our ability to receive in ways. Do you feel that there would be the potential if you were, say, guided maybe 3 or 4 more times and then received the process, that it would be easier because you would have the framework of experiencing it a couple of times to know?
Yeah, absolutely. Doing anything for the first time has its own challenges. I certainly couldn't do that process with anybody else right now after having only done it once. But yeah, absolutely. If you could do that half a dozen times with the correct integration and knowledge, yeah, absolutely, you could do that for other people and for yourself.
Well, yeah, more for yourself. More for yourself. Yeah.
Yeah, I think feeling into your body, as you expressed at the beginning, those that have done breath work and meditation and can feel into their body a little bit with where things are hiding, where they're curled up and where they need to be moved or removed, certainly makes it easier to be able to do. So I think, yeah, with a bit of help, I could do that myself. Yeah.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you so much for being a guinea pig on this process.
I'd like to
um,
see myself more as a wolf and pack leader than a guinea pig, but yes, today
A
the guinea
hundred
pig.
percent. You are a thank you for leading men, and this is genuine, fully genuine. Thank you for leading men into being able to be vulnerable in their body, their
Yeah.
emotions, their stories, for leading the way to be seen in the aspects of self that sometimes do not have a voice, or for the
Mm.
times that men have expressed and it's made women uncomfortable and they have received punishment, judgment, and wrongness for their emotions. I witness you and what you are being an example for the men of our society and collective, and for feeling safe enough to allow yourself to be that in the presence of a woman, because I know our women have created just as much damage for men in their emotional expression as men
Mm.
have for women.
Thank you. That was beautifully said.
Ah, all right. On that one, let's take a deep breath into the heart space. Acknowledging man and woman and all we have been and all we will be. Thank you for your time and your energy. I'm so grateful for you. If you enjoyed this process and you feel as though you would either like to receive it through facilitation or to learn it through the 5-hour mastermind that takes you through this process so you can invite yourself into being your own healer. And yes, it does take some time and some practice and some learning because we are not taught how to communicate with ourselves in this way. But once those pathways are created, it is actually a much more easeful experience than we have created within our mind. I would love to invite you into that space, and I will make sure that all of the links are in the description box. Thank you for witnessing. Thank you to Jonnie. And I love you, I love you, I love you, all of you. uh, Goodbye for now.